Hey, Imago Kids! Welcome back. Great to have you. It's another Tuesday. That means time for another science experiment. Love it. So we'll be calling in Dr. Professor Sciencey McScienceface here soon, and he'll have an awesome experiment for you. I hope I get to see it this time. I keep missing him. Man, he must be really speedy, and I keep looking too long before I come back. But today we're going to be talking about how Jesus kicks out fear. Almost knocked over my stool. All right, can you do your best air kick? Everybody stand up. Make sure there's nothing around you. Don't want to break anything. Don't make sure your little brother or sister isn't beside you. Ready? On three, we're going to do your best kick. Ready? Jesus kicks up fear. 1, 2, 3. Wah! There we go. I'm not very flexible, so my kicks aren't great. But we're going to be talking about how Jesus kicks out fear. But a couple of quick things. Obviously, I want to ask about your 100 acts of kindness. How you doing? Good. I'm glad to hear that. Keep running, keep doing them. Hope you guys have been inspired by the ones that we've shared, but we want to see more and more and more, and the first kid to get to 100 gets an awesome prize. So we want to get there. But let's start right off. Have you ever been afraid of anything? Me too. It's okay. Is there one thing that you're really afraid of? What are you afraid of? One of the things I used to be really afraid of was spiders. Maybe I still am a little bit afraid of spiders. But I try to get past it, and I hold spiders for Levi and Emery to see and let them walk all over me. I don't love it, but I don't scream anymore, so that's good. But it's okay to be afraid of things. And I used to be afraid of the dark when I was littler, and all those kinds of things. Sometimes we have fear in our life. Sometimes we're afraid of situations like having to talk to a grown-up or getting in trouble or having to do something, the right thing when everybody else wants us to do the wrong thing. Lots of different reasons why we might have fear. But Jesus doesn't want us to have fear. There's a couple of verses I want to talk to you about. It says first, in John 14:27, Jesus says, I leave you my peace. I give my peace to you. I don't give it to you as the world does. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. You know, one of the most common things said in the Bible is do not be afraid. In fact, almost every time somebody meets an angel, the first thing they say is don't be afraid. Now, if somebody, the big is angel, popped out of nowhere, I'd probably be afraid too. Ah, an angel! But they say that almost every time. But one of the regular things is do not fear. Always said. But sometimes there are situations in life that it's really easy to be afraid of. We talked about a couple earlier. And so Jesus says he wants to leave us his peace so we won't have to be afraid. He says, I don't leave you peace like the world does. Now, how does the world get peace? What do you guys imagine it looks like to be at peace or to have peace? Everything's just right. Yeah. That's how a lot of people think about it. Or if they think if I just sit really quiet, I can have peace. But that's not how it happens, because we can't just sit still for all of life, right? Can you imagine how silly that would be if somebody just sat down in their living room and just stayed there? That's not real peace, because we want to go out, we want to meet friends, we want to go to school, we want to go different places, maybe travel, or we want to just go play outside. And peace isn't just sitting still all the time. So peace can't be like that. Some people try to just say, I'm only going to hang out with people that make me happy, or I'm only going to talk to people who are nice to me. Well, that's not what Jesus did either. Jesus hung out with all kinds of people who were rude to him, people who were even rude to others, and he showed them love, and we want to be like Jesus, not like the rest of the world. So what does Jesus mean? He means there's going to be a peace that's inside of us, that no matter what goes on, we can feel at peace. I know a couple weeks ago, one of the stories that got shared was that Jesus was in the boat and when this big storm came up, and you remember what he was doing while all the disciples were so afraid and so worried? Yeah, he was sleeping right in the middle of the storm. So Jesus wants to give us that kind of peace, that we can feel that he has everything no matter what's going on around us. So, that's really hard to do though when we're afraid, right? I feel like when we feel afraid, that's the farthest we feel from being at peace. And whether it's being afraid of the dark, or being afraid of a situation, or being afraid of spiders while there's a spider in your room, it's pretty hard to be at peace. So what is it that Jesus wants to give us to help us understand and help us feel like we can be at peace, even in the midst of those scary situations where we want to feel afraid? Well, you know what time it is. It's time to call in our neighborhood doctor, Dr. Professor Sciencey McScienceface, and get him to come. So I'm going to, how should we call him this week? We've tried yelling out, and that hasn't worked. You guys even yelled out, and I didn't. So maybe we can clap, and maybe he'll hear us then. Ready? We're going to clap as fast as we can. So get your clapping hands ready. We're going to clap as fast as we can when I get to 3. 1, 2, 3. Did he come? No, okay. How else can we call him? Oh, maybe we can whistle. I'm not a good whistler. Let me try. Can we all try together? If you can whistle, you whistle with me. Or you can try to whistle with me. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. See, I'm so bad at whistling. I can't even do it. Well, all right. Well, since I can't whistle and I couldn't maybe clap fast enough, I'm going to have to go find him. I think I went that way last week, so I'm going to go this way this week. I'll go find him. We'll see you guys soon. Hey, I'm Marco Kids. It's Dr. Professor Sciencey McScienceface. Have you seen Pastor Kyle? Where'd he go? I missed him again. How am I ever going to catch him? Well, I guess not this week, but let's do our experiment. We're talking about how Jesus, what does Jesus do to fear? He kicks it. That's right. Jesus kicks out fear. All right, well, there's no only way to do a science experiment over here, so we got to go to our old science cam. So over here, this is another experiment, as most of ours. Don't do this one without a parent. We got a couple really easy items here. We got a glass. We got this big container to catch all of our mess. Let me turn this around so you'll be able to see everything well. We've got baking soda. Can you see that there? Arm & Hammer brand. And we got vinegar. Just regular old vinegar. All right. So I'm going to pour a bunch of this baking soda. We're going to pour a bunch just so this is fun. The more of this we have, the more fun we get to have with it. Think that's enough? I heard you guys say a little bit more. All right. That should be good. Perfect. So we have baking soda in there. Now, imagine this glass is you and me. All right? So this is Dr. Professor Sciencey McScienceface in glass form. Or it's you at home. And inside here is our fears, whatever it may be. The baking soda is the fear. Now, Jesus doesn't want us to have to live in fear. And this is what happens when Jesus comes into our life. Imagine Jesus is vinegar. Now, Jesus is sweet. He's not sour like vinegar. But this is how our experiment works. So, Jesus comes into our life. Whoa! And begins kicking all the fear out. That's awesome, right? Oh, it's smelly in here. But there's still fear in there. So sometimes we let Jesus in and he begins to take some of the fear out, but he doesn't take it all out. So he comes in more, takes more and more and more of the fear out. But then maybe we thought we were done with being afraid of spiders and now we have to go meet a bully or something on the playground, and Jesus comes in a little bit more, takes more and more fear out. And then maybe somebody wants us to do the wrong thing and we're afraid to say no, and sometimes we get more afraid, and so Jesus comes in a little bit more, bam, taking more of it out. So here's the thing. There's still a little bit, maybe even a lot. There can still be fear in there. As much as we've taken a lot out, that's just all the vinegar. There's still that much of the baking soda, the fear still in there. So Jesus continuously comes into our lives and takes the fear out. He doesn't want us to have to feel fear. We're beings who God loves. Here's what it says in 1 John 4:18. It says, such love has no fear, because perfect love kicks out all fear. If we're afraid, it's for fear of punishment. We're afraid of getting punished. And this shows us we have not fully experienced God's perfect love. Now, the reason why this over here still has baking soda in it is because we're human. In this life, we can't get rid of all the fear that's in our life. We can't. The reason being is because we're still waiting on Jesus to perfect His love in us. And until He perfects that love in us, there's probably going to be a little bit of fear still in us. Because we constantly look to how we can live our lives and do things on our own terms. Or we don't fully trust Jesus yet. And He keeps working on us, and the older we get and the more we practice this, He continues to take more and more of that fear out. But we're not going to always be able to get it all out. Jesus promises that He will come and complete the work that He began in us. That includes getting rid of all the fear so we can just enjoy His perfect love. So here's an interesting thing. Jesus is going to come, and we talked a couple weeks ago about how Jesus helps us see things differently, how Jesus changes how we see the whole world. Another way some of my friends have put this is that Jesus is bringing an upside-down kingdom, where the last people will be actually the most important. Whoever's first will be last, and whoever's last will be first. Whoever's the most humble will actually be made great. All those different pieces that were in those Beatitudes in that Sermon on the Mount. And so when Jesus comes and flips to His upside-down kingdom, He comes in and turns things over, getting rid of all the fear when He completes the work in us, so that there's no more fear left in us. But that's not something we get to experience just yet. Jesus will come and complete that work one day. But until then, we need to keep letting Jesus come more and more into our lives, and He'll get all that fear out. The more we let Him in, the more fear gets removed until the day that He comes and completes all that work in us. Well, I have a big science experiment to clean up, and after that, I'll go find Pastor Kyle. So I'm going to let you guys go so I can start finishing my cleaning. But we'll see you soon, Imago kids, and enjoy your day.